What's up everyone, it's Snoo here, and we got the 500 cemetery maps mega farming session coming your way. Why am I doing 500 maps? It seems kind of outrageous, right? 100 maps is what I've kind of started doing, and I think most people like that. Well, I've been getting one very small, albeit legitimate criticism with particularly the cemetery farm video, and it is because, not by any fault of my own, it just so happens that the chase item on that particular map, the Brother Stash card, its drop rate is quite low, or at least some people feel that way. And even in 100 maps, a lot of people thinking that maybe 100 maps isn't really a proper showcasing for getting a fairly solid sense of the drop rate of that card. I have had some people come to me in the comments of the videos suggesting, they're having a bad string of luck. They're not, they're calling me a liar or anything when I say I'm going to get, 6 Brother Stashes in 100 maps, for example, which is pretty average for me. But the point is, I feel you. I feel that criticism, so I decided I'm just going to go ahead and stream 500 runs. I've streamed 100 runs twice now. I did pretty decent. I actually got quite lucky on the first 100 runs, and the luck was fairly average on the second 100. I still think some people were looking at those numbers and thinking I got a little bit lucky. Maybe they're right, I could be eating my shoe right now, and I will admit to it if for some reason the total tally comes out to less. I'm expecting about 30 Brother Stashes in 500 maps. It's an average of 6 in 100 maps, or an average of about 1 every 16 maps. I have seen dry spells as bad as about 60, 70 maps in a row without one. I've seen 4 drop in 3 maps, so it just all kind of averages itself out. I farmed at roughly 200 Brother Stashes this season, so I'm quite confident. But again, like I said, I might be eating my shoe on this one. We're going to find out together. I'm going to do 100 cemetery maps at a time. No way in hell I'm going to farm more than 100 in a particular day. It's looking at being at least a 5-hour farm for me. I will get to, for the first time, I think, for the first time, showcase the Tornado Shot Magic Find hybrid character doing the cemetery farm and semi-juice. That's weird. I can't remember which. No, I think I did it once before on the other guy. But I have tweaked my gear a bit. I have gotten some gear upgrades. For example, I know for certain that I did not have this quiver last time I was running it. I got a new Brutal Restraint here. Came out pretty nice. I got, as you can see, I was rolling a ton of these. I've blown about 200x maybe rolling Brutal Restraints, trying to get a frenzy charge on kill so I could drop this cluster down here and initially pick up the onslaught effect over here, but then on second thought I saw this stuff over here. I want to try something a little interesting over here. Chain range. I really like chain support, awakening chain support. Did a lot of testing on that. It seems the majority of Deadeyes run fork support. They have ricochet, so they have reason to favor fork support over. I like chain support, especially on a raider without ricochet. It seems to be really nice. So I'm going to test this out a little here, kind of on the go testing. I haven't actually ran this particular setup yet. Also get a nice bonus 20 dexterity on this particular one. As you can see, the Brutal Restraint modifiers here are pretty dang good. Basically, the worst ones I got are a couple of chance on blinds on hit, which actually having one of those is really not bad at all. It's essentially 20% more evasion most of the time. 20 dexterity is nothing huge, but not a single one wasted, not a single really bad one here. And I am losing some aura effect, so I kind of needed to drop back down here to Master Fletcher to get a 100% hit chance. A lot of stuff I had to do to my gear. I'm not going to get into too much detail right now, but for the most part everything else looks pretty much the same. One of the reasons I'm running all these maps is because I'd like to double corrupt some headhunters. Basically my last opportunity to find a major upgrade on this character, unless I completely swapped out gear and went like rare pieces of gear. But I really like this setup. I'm absolutely in love with the Darasos Defiance combination with Rampage, and I did change the implicits on this to get super high uptime on an Immortal Call. Check out this Immortal Call cooldown. See right here, That sucker winds down real fast with a level 5 enlightened support. That's with no ashes of a star, by the way. Man, with an ashes of a star, that'd be nuts. So, oh my god, I can't even imagine how short that cooldown would be. And everything else should look pretty well the same. Pretty well the same. I did lose Alchemist Genius and 4% life, so all the way down to right around 3k life. That's okay. Get a few headhunter buffs. It won't really matter anyway. Yeah, that's about all there is on that. Let's get into the map runs here. I got 13.4x, and exalts have started to go down in value. They're currently around 165 chaos apiece. They will be going down continually. It's going to be at least a week till I have all 500 of these maps done, and I am going to be tallying the results, total results, in raw X, because we're farming the brother stash. We got harbingers on the map. We got strongbox. You know, we're kind of going to get a lot of raw X in this, and it honestly makes up about a third of the total profit, which is really nice and convenient. But, you know, it is subject to some fluctuations if the raw X are fluctuating a lot. So we are just going to end up tallying the results in Exalt. And I'm hoping, to break the 20x per hour mark on here. I think I can run these maps fast enough and get enough loot that I can actually crack 20x an hour. That would be quite a feat if I could do it. I am going to kind of do my usual thing. I'm not going to count heist pieces. Instead of counting breach rings, I am just going to turn them into grasping males, and I'm going to identify them, and each one that comes out to 100% global defenses I'll count as either probably 4x, because of what they've been selling them for 4 or 5x even up to now. And I am going to be leveling enhanced supports like normal. This gem is a really good choice because you can't lose money if you level it and then you corrupt it. Even if it goes down to 2, you can like kind of re-level it, or especially if it just stays at 3. They still even make a little bit of money on each one of those. If it cranks up to a level 4 enhance, it's suddenly worth 4x as opposed to 30 chaos. So that's basically a 4x profit each time I hit one of those. So I'm just going to count all those that I hit. We'll be counting regular maps that drop. This will be, again, offset by the fact I'm not going to count logbooks, not going to count heist stuff. There are a few other things. Oh, not going to count cluster jewels this time because we're not forcing Delling Mirrors. Not going to count any cluster jewels regardless how good they are. But most everything else that excellence naturally counts, I will count. That reminds me, I got to actually load that program. Alright, so we are running the exact same thing I've been running previously. Been doing this farm like... God knows, I don't know how long. The only thing I ever change really is elevated versus non-elevated strongbox. These have gone down to 100 chaos or potentially less finally now, so I do think they're worth running at around 100 chaos apiece. And then the gloom shrines about 40-50 chaos apiece. I counted these at 50 chaos apiece and 100 chaos apiece for the sake of the investment costs here. 20 chaos apiece on the awakened and rage strongbox sextants here, and I think it was 10 chaos apiece for 100 traders. They're basically not really worth anything because nobody wants to run them, even though they're really good for this farm. And oh yeah, so again, this strategy is especially good because you can self-sustain your own maps that you're running via the 8 modded corrupted sextant. You don't have to use very many of them. I have a decent pool of starter maps here. I'm going to run, I think I could probably get away with 6, maybe 7 of those in here to self-sustain pretty well. The rest, they'll be hunted traders. So if, you know, I'll have to switch some out maybe to make sure the maps are being self-sustained, but it should be pretty good. I am going to run Gilded Ambush, and the price of the scarabs have been pretty stable, I think. I think Gilded Ambush has gone up a little bit. Maybe the other 3 have gone down a hair. Still all about the same. So, you know, if I do manage to make about 20x an hour, even just on this particular 100 map session, that'll be a decent feat. And I'm looking forward to seeing if I can do that. Okay, I'm going to be running an item rarity support. This character is quite strong in here. Increased rarity of items dropped by slain monsters 125%, including the buff from our friendly AG here. 55% increased quantity of items. So as you can see, that may skew the results if you're not running a magic find character doing this, and you're not running in 3 minutes per map flat on average. You know, maybe you're not gonna get 20x an hour, but again, I'm kind of showing you what's possible. And I'm showing you basically how I've been doing it for the entire second half of the season. I was farming, obviously doing a fair bit of promenade, but I was just more for testing and more for a change of pace. Daily mirror farming, I really like that. I always enjoy that kind of farm, but it's time to go back to our roots here and just sit in the cemetery. I love this farm. I have no major issue with streaming it. The only reason I don't stream all of these runs is because, I like to veg out and, listen to music or a podcast, or not have to read the chat, not have to be talking to the microphone all the time. So, of course, obviously, I want to come home from work and relax. But for the sake of addressing some of that criticism that I mentioned earlier, I think it's time. Time to do 500 maps here. It should provide a fair bit more credence to what I'm saying. If indeed I do get 30 brother stashes or more, and 500 maps, I think would be plenty just to sway some heads. So if you're in the chat right now, you're welcome to a new video here. We're starting the 500 map farming session, and I'm just gonna get my excellence set up here just to prove it here. As always, you can check out the Twitch live stream after the fact. The videos will be on my Twitch. It'll be in the description below. All 500 runs will be here straight. I'm going to try to do these runs straight with no breaks. We'll see how it goes. I'm kind of poised for dealing with some technical difficulties. Been having some issues with my ISP the last couple days. Let's hope we can get through this farm without any kind of problems there. So you can see I'm just resetting this right here. If I take a snapshot right now, we can see the startup cost is rather cheap for 100 maps. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what that is. I'll calculate it later. Chaos per map, but it's not a whole lot. You can see it all right here, the 13x, some of the chaos, the scarabs, the maps. They're all there. And so we can do that. Do that down there. You can kind of see what's going on. I'll flip back over here. And we're about to get underway. So it was 28 3/4 of an X. That's the number that we have to remember. I will be, testing out the currency per hour individually between each 100 runs 5 times, average out the results, and we'll see how many brother stashes in total are becoming that. So I'm not going to find the exact same number of brother stashes every time, obviously. It is going to greatly impact the average, but again, over the course of 500 maps, I'm not going to be worried about the floor amount here. I'm really just going to kind of see exactly how much X per hour I make. We're not going to run Alva. We're just going to put Beyond on here. The sections, they are what they are. I got a nice juicy map just for fun for the very first map. And we're starting here at 7:52-ish. Local time, 7:52. Just flipped over. Here we go. If I get done with this in it by 12:52, I'll be happy. Quite happy. Wow, I got a nice superb start there. Exalted Orb and a 3%er Scarab drops here. Right off the bat. Oh yeah, I will be running Arch Nemesis. Where I can, I'll try to self-sustain it. I've really been liking it a lot lately. It's been going over pretty well for me. So what I should be doing is I should be picking up the shrines as I go. Oh, I almost missed that breach completely. I'm not really worried about looting at the moment. Should be trying to find the boss initially. And all the shrines. That's the focus. Boss and shrines. And breach the moment I clear the boss for sure. Get that going on. Oh, I got an extra breach on this map even. Shroud Walker's been kicking my butt here this entire run. Just flying through the maps. I feel like I'm faster than ever before. Who knows if that's true. Probably because I'm finally playing on an open map. And not, stuck. One thing I should mention about this farm, I think a lot of people have kind of put the whole, like, altar scarab farming thing in their rearview mirror. They're not really thinking much of it. They look at the value of scarabs and they're thinking, it's not really a major farming factor these days. Absolutely untrue on a map like this where you can get to the boss immediately and where you just crank up the pack size as high as you can, because pack size is a direct positive impact on how many altars you see spawn. The more pack size you have, the more monsters you spawn. Monsters have like a flat percentage chance of spawning an altar on kill, and there doesn't seem to be any internal cooldown on that whatsoever. And then if it spawns an altar, then that's literally free packs of monsters you get that can also in turn spawn more altars. I mean, it could be a never-ending loop, potentially. Obviously, it'll break down at some point. But the point is that I get a lot of scarabs, a ton of scarabs, a lot of gilded scarabs even. I just get so many scarabs. Now this map I got even more than usual because I did get a good altar immediately, but most of the time I find the map ups pretty quickly, and then my altars that I spawn later through the map are extra premium due to that fact. And then
my mana is gone.
there was one more thing I was gonna say, slipping off the top of my head. Well, I'll just reiterate the point that for me it's all about, you know, getting currency from as many different avenues as you can, especially with this sort of cheap Alk and Go ideal here. Now, obviously, this is not straight up Alk and Go, but let's call it what it is. I mean, this is a really low-end investment. I mean, compared to like Nemesis 3 or Nemesis 4, compared to the most lucrative types of farms that existed last season, like in Scourge League and stuff, doing like 300 Scourge stack kind of stuff. I mean, it's just incomparable. My most lucrative farms last season required me to invest something like 3x per map. So, I mean, it's just a complete far cry compared to that. And the beautiful thing about this, of course, is that the time, you know, the time that often does not get calculated into the realistic time it takes to do all the farms. Well, the time to set this up is really fast, you know? I mean, I'm only having to buy one gilded scarab, and it's not like that particular gilded scarab's in huge demand. And then, you know, it's just one elevated sextant that I really want. That's the Gloom Shrine. Oh yeah, and the more, you know, if you kill the boss really fast, you also get the premium altars of the quantity and additional rarity, so that's a very big deal. Recently switched over from lockstep to predictive. Really made a positive difference, even though my internet, you know, I have like 5 ping and I mean, usually don't have any major issues. It looks like there can be some extra stress just on how many actions are taking place on the server, and cause me to have some slight delays and stuff. And really going predictive, while I don't really feel the lag because the lag's not actually all that bad, even in those high stress moments, predictive just completely smooths out the edges for me. So I'm starting to think that predictive is just a superior way to play, like regardless. Back when I had a lot of lag or a little bit of lag or sketchy lag or just high ping in general, or apparently even when my internet's going pretty well, it seems like predictive is the better way to go. I think the only way I would not play predictive now is after everything I've experienced, is maybe if I was playing hardcore, you know, and that I really want to feel the lag, if there is lag. Question in the chat: would I change this strat if I didn't run the goal and try? No, I don't. So I could run this strat without the goal and shrines. It would be fine, but it would just be an unintelligent idea, I think, because that stuff's so strong. Temporal chains, oh god. Should be faster than this. Slow. So slow. This feels really slow to me. Okay, well, I will get faster as I warm up and whatnot. Oh yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna do these maps. I should probably just. Red star. What is it? Brother Stash. Oh yes. Which map is this? Let's see. This would be. I think this is map number 16, actually, right on schedule. Yeah, I said I find a Brother Stash once every 16 maps. Projected. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Map number 16. What? Isn't that nice? And this is the 8 modded corrupted section of the run, which means I'm actually getting less loot on average than the others, because the future runs here coming up soon will have hunted traders instead of nothing as far as added monsters to the map. So that is quite exciting. And this will conclude the halfway point after this map. Really hope to find at least. I was really hoping to find at least 2 Brother Stashes. I'll probably get one this one because I got the Delirium Orb. Oh wow. I mean, what? Honestly, like I'm not even surprised. I was like, well, this is the 50th map. If I go 50 maps, only finding 1, that's kind of bad. And then I was like, oh, it spawned a Delirium. They do drop out of Delirium maps more often, so yeah, it'll drop on this map then. Yep. Sure enough. Fails. Somebody had mentioned before the possibility of going Delirium on Cemetery just for the added monsters. Just go ahead and paying for that Delirium mirror sexton. I mean, it certainly is superior to hunted traders overall, but I don't know if it's worth it, because I'd only get on average like maybe 50 simulacrum splinters. Not many. I mean, let's see how many I get this map, I guess. Hey, there's a Brother Stash. Whew. Getting a little worried there. We have a pretty bad dry spell. Let me think about what map this is. This is somewhere around map number 90. So we're looking at around a 40 map dry spell. That's a pretty bad one. Not the worst I've seen, but we're only sitting at around 3 Brother Stashes for the first 100 maps, probably, unless I get lucky and get maybe one or more in the next 10 maps. But yeah, that's how it goes. So just keep on moving on, and hopefully by the 500th map we'll even things out a bit.
My mana is gone.
So see, that RNG can happen to yours truly. There's a red star. Alright, what is it? Could it be again? Oh my god. Okay, I'm pretty sure either three out of the 4 or all 4 of these brother stashes have dropped in random deli mirror spawn maps. So I mean that's it. I'm now committed to the idea. I've already been thinking about doing this, but at some point before the season ends, I am gonna run 100 cemetery maps forcing deli mirrors onto it instead of hunted traders. And I swear to God, if I get like 20 brother stashes from that, I'm gonna flip, because it almost feels like a bit of a conspiracy now how these brother stashes are only what, like around 10%? I guess 11%. I think it's 11% of my maps spawn with a deli mirror, and virtually all of the brother stashes I'm getting are dropping in those maps. So what is that all about? I don't think it. I'm pretty sure it's not been that way across the grand total of all of these divination cards that I've found. But certainly lately, as I've been paying closer attention to it, they absolutely are dropping in these deli mirror maps almost exclusively. Makes you think. Let's put that tinfoil hat on. There are worse things to put a tinfoil hat on for, so I guess there's that. Let's see, we're gonna need deli orbs. Answer is yes. 1, I'm happy with 1. Glorious 1-stack deck. Yeah. Oh! 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 That's nice. Double exalted drop off an Arcana Strongbox, I guess, is what that was. RNG is kicking in. Got Brother Stash last map, Brother Stash about 4 maps before that. Now double exalt. I did have a pretty bad run of it there for a while, but I'd say we're back on track, or close to it anyway. It's still not quite as good as I would like to be. Oh, what's that? What's that over there on my left? What could it be? Could it be Brother Stash number 5? Could it be? Could it be? Yes! Okay, well, I am just 1 away from my projected 6 and 100 maps, but this is map number 97. So we're gonna have to get pretty lucky to get that last one. Or maybe I'll just get another one this map. That could happen. It's happened before. The map did just start this map a second ago. It's like seeing a Viridian Jewel unique drop-off boss. I did get an Unnatural Instinct off of this map boss before, much earlier this season. always reminded of that when I see the boss. Okay, it's time to take a look at the results of the first 100 map sessions. Now, in case it wasn't clear, I am going to divide these videos up into 5 parts, and then I think I'll come out with a video that surmises the results of all 500 maps together. If you're not really interested in the content of, checking out each individual 100 map session, then I would suggest just skipping those videos and waiting for the final one, which will kind of summarize the findings, the grand total of brother stashes that I dropped in 500 maps, the total X per hour averaged out, and any other peculiar things of note in the 500 maps. But for the sake of this video, this particular content right here, this is focusing on maps 1 through 100, and we just got done through the farming session. I think the RNG overall was a little bit on the poor side. I only got 5 brothers stashes total. You can see here. Take a look here. Top to bottom, we got brother stash 5. You can see that this makes up the majority of the currency that was farmed. It's more than twice as much as the next biggest thing, which is exalted orb. So it kind of goes without saying, the RNG you have for brother stashes makes or breaks the X per hour. Of course, it'll average out in the long run. Again, I still anticipate I'll get 6 per 100 maps on average. I only got 5 this time. Got kind of lucky there. I think I was up to around 80 maps in total, and I still only had 2 at around map number 80. And then, I found 3 more in the last 20 maps, so that was fortunate. But again, fairly average. We'll see here, raw exalted orbs, 12. I feel like that's a little bit low as well, especially since probably 2 of those are exalted shards in total. We got a lot of awakened sections. That's going to always be about the same. Burial medallions, I did do a decent number of the Treant Horde Expedition currency from Arch Nemesis. There we go. Blanked out. Chaos orbs, okay. And then you do see there is about 600 chaos worth of cemetery maps. The vast majority of the maps that are in here are cemetery maps. These are all uncorrupted. The only other maps that are in here are either influence maps, which are actually being calculated under value, or they're like double corrupted beyond maps or something like that. So they would still sell, in which case they would be undervalued in excellence as well. But the majority of these are just cemetery uncorrupted maps. Now I can sell these for about, and I normally sell maps at around 3 chaos apiece, not 2.5, which is what this says. So again, I'm someone who sells maps regularly. I sell them in bulk. I don't sell them all, but if a bulk of maps is just sitting in my stash and I mess around with the prices much at all, I'll get them to sell without too big a deal. Now for these particular ones, I'll probably just re-roll them, honestly, in which case I'm essentially buying them back for myself. Yeah, we got some more expedition currency, 27 ancient orbs, 3 screaming invitations. It just kind of goes down from there. Now I do want to actually pay special note to the scarabs here. Obviously I get scarabs from many sources. I get them from the operative strong boxes. I get them from the mirror image tree and horde portions of those Arch Nemesis recipes. And then I get a lot of them from the altars. And one thing I do want to drive home here is the cemetery farm is fantastic for scarab farming. I got way better quality altars, mainly because I'm killing the map boss early, in which case I'm adjusting the altars that spawn. They can only do either player or monster influence options there once the map boss is dead. And I also honestly feel like I get more altars to spawn just in an absolute sense. I really do feel like I get more to spawn here. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not sure why that is. They're definitely, the influence packs are jammed into the map more. It feels like the pack size is more, that it just honestly feels like I get more altars. I could be wrong about that, but I see a lot. I definitely get way more scarabs farming cemetery than I do farming promenade, for example. Scarabs, even though they are obviously a plenty, they're still very valuable, and some of them are really valuable, like, you know, Gilded Expedition Scarabs, for example. Quite valuable. Gilded Harbinger. Even like Polished Divination Scarabs. You know, there's still a lot in here that's quite valuable, so it looks like I got 1,500 chaos worth of scarabs. I'd say at least half of that came from altars, and I'm guessing at least like 3x worth of scarabs more on the cemetery than I get on Promenade. So just something to note there for that sake. Simulacrum Splinters, you know, I barely got. I only get like 50 per map there. I did not get very many Deli Mirrors at all, and my goodness, at least 3 of the 5 dropped from the 5 brother stashes dropped from Deli Mirrors. A couple Soul Takers, so you know we got uniques here. Let's see how my magic finding did. A couple Soul Takers, a Maloney's, Call of Brotherhood on map number 100. No Cortex, nothing major. Honestly, definitely feels like I got quite bad RNG on the uniques. Pretty bad overall, I think. I could definitely see better than that for the later sessions. We'll find out. So yeah, that's about where that is on here. So you can see I'm looking at 108 exalts in here. If we go through and we start doing the numbers, we actually don't know exactly how much I've got yet because I have here a few things situated, especially. Take a look here. Enhance 3 is still worth about 40 chaos apiece. Honestly, I make money leveling these, even if I corrupt it and it comes out blank. Still made money on them because I'm buying them for 20, 30 chaos apiece. It seems like a terrific investment. Running this double quality support gem bow here with the Maloney's 9 is a really awesome setup. I only recently got this actually set up. These gems leveled super fast. I got 3 sets of gems leveled, basically 3 sets of gems leveled in that time. And you can see here that I got 2, which is a little bit on the unlucky side. Fairly average RNG though. I typically get 2 or 3, and 5 or 5x a piece. Now I'm only going to count these as 4 because for at least most of this past month, these have only been worth 4x, not 5. We're getting into the kind of the wonky part of the league where things start going a little out of control on the currency per hour. I'm going to try to temper my adjustments for the X per hour based on that. But it's definitely a bit different than when I made some of these videos 1.5 months ago. We have here 5 grasping males. Yeah, I got practically 5 grasping males worth of breach rings here. We're going to identify these. And I just double checked. This is pretty wild here. Actually, I'll show you guys. So I just double checked what increased global defenses looks like if it's clean. Okay, so I gotta scroll pretty far down here to find clean one. And when I do, I get to 16 exalts. Now, again, that's part of the wonky last couple of weeks of thing. These have honestly been selling around 4 or 5 X a piece, clean, with 100% global defenses. If they don't have 100% global defenses on them, they're not worth anything, generally. Which means I'm going to identify all 5 of these. If I get none, then there's nothing there. If I, for each one, I'll count as 4 exalt. I always sold it for at least 4, between 4 and 6 exalts here. So let's take a look here on the bottom one here. This is nothing, 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 and nothing. Wow, last time I did this on stream, I got nothing, and then I identified like one off stream, and I hit. So, man, that irks me. That's pretty bad luck. I think I've identified, I don't know, like 30 or 40 of these this league. I feel like it's about 1 in 4. 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5 gets the 100% increase maximum. So that's sad. A bit depressing there. Now you can see you can some people cheat and they sell this. Now when I identify this, this should come out with no special modifier. Indeed, yeah, it did not. So yeah, don't be that guy selling those unidentified back. from the vendor. So we will add 8 exalts to the estimate here. So we got 108. So we'll go 16.67. And yeah, then we got a net of whatever that is. 16.128 basically. Okay, 88. I guess it's 7.9. And oh, how long did it take? Well, I had a work call in the second half of the session, so it was kind of hard to identify exactly how long it took to do all 100 exactly. But I did the bulk of the 100 map session the night before without really any. I actually had 5 game crashes in total. But I was able to pull basically all the loot from all the maps. Didn't have any like maps that failed or whatever. Lost a tiny bit of time from those crashes. Nothing crazy. One little break in there. So looking at it, it was about 3.5 minutes per map, counting the time in the hideout, because I can get in and out of the maps in about 3 minutes, and then another half minute in the hideout for the session. Of course, that does not count the time it takes to get all the materials together. Generally don't count that in the equation, but this cemetery farm is uniquely good in that it doesn't take very much time. I mean, you self-sustain the maps completely, and the polished scarabs, 1 gilded scarab, awakened sextants, maybe 1 or 2 elevated sextants if you want. It really doesn't take much time. You can buy all that stuff in bulk fairly easily at basically market value. But anyway, we take 87.9 divided by, okay, well actually no, first I gotta check 3.5 times 100, okay, divided by 60. And we'll see it took about 5, almost 6 hours. I am going to round up actually 6 hours. So it took 6 hours basically to do this farm. And that's probably the number I'm going to use for every one of these. I'm going to use 6 hours. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I'll double check, but we're looking at around 6 hours to do 100 maps with this particular session. Again, not counting any weird like, oh, I got a call from work, I got to take that for 15 minutes, or kind of weird breaks like that. Here we go. Okay, 14.5x per hour. 14.65x per hour. Now, if you had told me in advance that I only made 14.65x per hour, I wouldn't have been that surprised. I figured that means I probably only got like 2 or 3 brother stashes. Now I got 5, so honestly, this seems kind of low to me. I'm not exactly sure why the X per hour is this low, given what I was doing on, before, on a slower character with less magic find. Yeah, a little surprised. Just for fun, I'm not really going to concern myself terribly with the floor, but let's just for fun take this 87 minus 25. Yeah. Minus 8. And you can see that essentially the floor on this farm for me this round, this isn't counting the enhanced rank 4s, and this isn't counting any drops above 1x. I did make 9x an hour basically on the nose, not counting any brother stashes or anything, which again, for the nature of this farm, it's not really fair to look at it that way, because as you can see, the vast majority of what the value of this farm comes from the brother stash drops. But at any rate, it looks like at least the average, assuming I get 6 brother stashes, if I had gotten 6, I don't know, let's see. If I had gotten 6 I'd be over 15x an hour for sure. Let's see here, divided by 6. Yeah, over 15x an hour. We'll see what happens. So maybe the market's shifted a bit here. It looks like I'm looking at the value. Exalted orbs have gone down a bit. They were 175, but that shouldn't make a huge difference, actually, in the grand scheme of things of how I'm calculating this. I'm not really sure. I did get one enhanced drop, actually, from the maps. Oh yeah, I did not count the enhanced supports investment, you know, towards the tally. So I also just didn't count them leveled and corrupted unless they were rank 4. So that's kind of how that's set up. Everything looks pretty square, I guess. The results speak for themselves. It's still decent, obviously, pretty good. Almost 15x an hour for this particular session. Got very unlucky with the grasping males. Got somewhat a little bit unlucky with the gems. Got a little bit unlucky with the brother's stash. Maybe a little bit unlucky with exalted orbs as well. And a little bit unlucky with any sort of major unique drops. You know, definitely no big uniques dropped at all. So expect better results, I guess, is basically what I'm saying for maps 101 through 500. Probably do better. I'm hoping that the maps 1 through 100 will actually be the lowest earning maps of the series. That's my hope. Probably not the lowest, but we'll see. We'll see. So again, if you're, you know, I'm going to be making this video times 5, basically. And if you're not all that interested in seeing them individually, then just don't worry about the next ones that come out. If you do and you want to see them, great. The content's there. The highlights are there. If you're obsessive and you want to see like the whole dang streams, those streams are available on my Twitch, again, at the description below. You can also see the Atlas Passives description below, the POB description below. The POB did change a little bit through here. I did mention that I started by testing the increased chain range. I feel like it wasn't really all that's cooked up to be. Switched over back to more movement speed. Always love more movement speed. And to be honest, this mastery is extremely powerful, actually, because if you aren't aware, when you start stacking up headhunter buffs, your evasion rating goes up immensely. I go from like, what, 86% chance to evade all the way up to cap 95% chance to evade, and gaining evasion as extra armor is huge for that. Makes me even more difficult to kill the moment I start getting any headhunter buffs, and even without a headhunter buff, it's still decent mastery. Yeah, that's all I have for this first round of 1-500. So there you go. You get to see 5 brother stashes in 100 maps. We're well on our way. Just a tiny bit under the average of what is to come. I hope. We'll find out. Stay tuned. There's more to come. We'll see you in the next 4 or 5 videos, I guess.